In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to factorize linear expressions step by step. If that sounds interesting, let's not waste any time. I'll see you after the intro. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to factorize linear expressions. Okay, so before we commence, what is an expression? An expression is a summation or subtraction of terms, all right? So without the equal sign. Now, if you have terms, term 1 plus minus term 2 plus minus term 3, etc., that is an expression. These are the examples of how an expression looks like. All right, so this will be term 1. So 3x squared will be your term 1 in this case. So plus term 2, in this case, it will be 1. All right, so we do not have an equal sign because this is an expression. If we had an equal sign here, we were gonna have an equation. That is the difference. All right, now what is a linear expression? I meant to say, what is a linear expression? A linear expression, you check the highest exponent number on that expression. If the highest exponent number is 1, therefore that expression is linear. All right, so which ones here between these 3 is a linear expression? Now let's take the first one. What is the highest exponent number here? Normally you'd hear people say the highest order. See, so I like to say, simplify to say it's the highest exponent number. All right, so don't be confused when you hear that. It's basically the same thing. So the highest exponent number here, it's 2, right? So it means this one cannot be a linear expression. Now the second one, what is the highest exponent number on a variable? It's 1. All right, so this one, the second one, it's definitely a linear expression. Now let's look at the third one. So the highest exponent number here is 3. So this one cannot be a linear expression. All right, now I guess you get the gist of how a linear expression should look like. All right, let's use an example to factorize a linear expression. Now, when you factorize linear expressions, what you're looking for is common factors. All right, so in this case, what is the common factor between the two terms? The terms that we have, it's 2x and 2. So between these two terms, what is the common factor? I've made it easier for you because I've highlighted the common factor already. So it's 2. We have 2 on this side and we have 2 on the other side. Okay, so you take 2 outside. So when you take 2 outside as a common factor, now inside the bracket here, you're gonna write everything else that has remained. So if you take 2 from this term, you'll have x remaining. All right, so if you take 2, remember a number, think about it like this. So 2 times 1 is 2. All right, when you see a number, think about it like this. Okay, so if you take 2 from this number, this what will be left? It's 1. Okay, so this is the factorized expression, linear expression. Let's move to the next one. When you factorize an expression with 4 terms, at least 2 terms must have a common factor and the remaining 2 terms must have a common factor. All right, let's find out which ones have a common factor. So term 1 and term 2, between term 1 and term 2, do we have a common factor? Term 1 is 2x, term 2 is xy. Yes, we do have a common factor, which is x. Okay, great. Now let's check the remaining 2 factors if there is any common factor. So the third term is 2 and the fourth term is y. So here there is no common factor. All right, now we have to start again and check between that first term and the third term. All right, if we have a common factor. So the first term is 2x, the third term I have a 2. So there is definitely a common factor, which is 2. Now I check, okay, here there is a common factor, which is 2. All right, so there is a common factor. Now I check the second term and the fourth term. Do I have a common factor? Yes, a common factor is y. All right, so I can rewrite it like this according to the common factor. So I have 2x plus that 2, and then I have plus xy plus y. All right, now the common factor on this one between these two, it's 2. Okay, so what I will have is something like this, because when you take 2 from this term, you'll be left with x, then plus. When you take 2 from a number like this, remember when you have a number, think about it like this, 2, when you take 2 from this number, you'll be left with 1. All right, now between these remaining terms, a common factor is y. So I'm going to write it like that. So when you take y from this term, what will remain is x. All right, so when you have a term like that, think about it like this. All right, so if I take y from this term, what will remain is 1. All right, are we done? No, we are not done. Check if there's still common factors. All right, if there's common factors, therefore we continue. All right, so if I check there's a common factor on this term, okay, so how do I know I have 2 terms? Terms are separated by a sign, a positive or a negative sign. So I have this term here, which is separated by that positive sign, and another term. So I have 2 terms here. So between these 2 terms, I have a common factor of x plus y, and there is a common factor here, which is x plus y. So that is a common factor. That is why I'm going to write it here and open a bracket. Inside this bracket, I'm going to write everything else that has remained. So when I take x plus y from this term, I'll be left with 2. And when I take x plus 1 here, I'll be left with y. All right, so this is the factorized answer. If you have watched till this far, I appreciate. Cheers.